you, and you learn about your successes a little bit later today. At this moment, I'm going to invite our permanent secretary. Very energized. You see the smile there. She will do the official welcoming. Make her feel welcome.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Good morning, Jamaica. It's a big day for us. I know you parents out there, you're very nervous. I am nervous too. And as Ruth said, I remember my day. And I'm going to share my story with you. I did not see my name in the paper. I looked and it was not there. It was a difficult time for me to go home. But guess what? Look at me today. I blossomed where I was planted. So whatever happened today, you make sure you, young people, parents, you can blossom where you are planted. There's no one way to the top. Just continue to work hard. And with that said, it is my joy to welcome Jamaica to this big moment when we release PEP 6. It's a transition moment for our young people. It's a big moment, excited going to high school. It's a joyous time to celebrate with our families. And so you have been awaiting this big day, and it's finally here. And it is my joy to welcome our minister, Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon. It's our first PEP release. It's a big day for her, and we are happy to have her on board. And we have given her all the support to make sure she has all the right data to share with you today. And she's going to do it in her own style, because we have enough to celebrate. We are not where we want to be, but we are celebrating the small victories. Amen? Yes, Jamaica. Of course, I have my CEO with me, our Terry and Thomas Gale, and this is our baby. Pep is our baby. You may not know the history, but she is the person who worked the model when we continued the framework under the previous transformation. And so I'm happy to see her giving oversight. We have other DCOs in the room. Maria, who is in charge of exams this year, and she has done a phenomenal job. As a permanent secretary, I'm very, very proud of her. We have Janet Brim, our DCO for schools operations. So guess what? All the work will now shift to her. So all the we want to enhance as we move them forward. And for those we have to do the remedial work, it's right in Janet Brim's hand. But I have no doubt she is experienced. She has been here for a long time. I have my project lead, Dr. Venice Morrison-Leon, and she's leading the transformation team. So all the quality assurance work on all those targets that we have from the Patterson's report, we have our project lead leading that, and she'll be in the field with us. Welcome, Ms. Dr. Morrison-Leon. We have our regional directors in the room, and I see Mr. Otis Brown, Region 1, representing the core. And of course, the indomitable Vivian Johnson, DCO, Head of Education Planning and the Policy Division. And trust me, that's where all the magic happens in the ministry so we can do the work. Vivian, welcome. Colleagues, I see our head of our independent schools walking in. Mrs. McKenzie, welcome. Our independent schools association is represented here this morning, and we are grateful. So colleagues in the media, our friends, families, principals, and other members of the executive management team, you are listening in the social space. We want to welcome you today to this 2025 PEP release. I know you're anxious and you don't want to hear anything more from me. You're waiting the minister. So it gives me joy to hand over to our indomitable, energetic, vivacious, bright, brilliant minister in the best ministry in Jamaica. Welcome to Dana.
All right. Thank you very much, PS, for that welcome. It is indeed a big morning, and I want to again acknowledge our PS in the best ministry in Jamaica, Dr. Kassan Troop, and we also have our Chief Education Officer with us. A lot of officers from the Ministry of Education are here, and the PS would have named them. I obviously have to especially recognize the exams branch that I've been very impressed with, their work that they have done. And I see the president of GISA in the room. Our independent schools are absolutely critical to everything that we do, and we cannot do it without them. We also want to congratulate them on Prep School Champs that was held last week, and they're doing a phenomenal job as a team, and they're very important partners, and so it's good for them to be here at this press conference today. And of course, members of the media who are here, good morning to you all. And I will just get into it. And I figure someone is changing my slides or I'm changing them. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go to the first slide and I'm going to just get started right away. So whoever is changing the slides needs to change the slide now. All right, it's coming up. But I'll start with the good news. And I think that's not the first slide. That is, all right, thank you. There is good news this morning. The good news is that the results are better than they were last year. So I'll start with that. So for parents who are watching, just calm down a little bit. The students did significantly, they did better than last year, and that is something that we always want to celebrate. And as a ministry, we are working to improve the results each year. And so let me get into the presentation, and now I can change the slides myself. Good. The overview of what happened. So I just need to remind Jamaica about what PEP is and what PEP is not. So PEP is the primary exit profile. And what do we do it for? We do it to measure the attainment of the objectives that are outlined in our curriculum, or NSC, the National Standards Curriculum. So what we're testing is whether or not our children are able to apply their knowledge and skills to the areas that are in the curriculum. And we're obviously testing the higher order areas, the higher order thinking skills, the problem solving areas, analyzing. And that's very important for us because we don't want children who are just regurgitating information. They need to be taking the information, synthesizing it, and coming up with innovative answers, and they get extra marks for the innovation. And we really love to see the innovation in the responses. And so this is done across 4 years. It's not a one-time test, a one-day test like we would have done when we did common entrance. This is over a longer period of time, and it's great because you're able to track students and their performance. And you can also track the schools and their performance over a period of time. And so our students would have done the grade 4 performance tasks in June 2023, and they would have also done the literacy and numeracy tests as a part of that. In grade 5, they would have done performance tasks in June 2024. And then for grade 6, they did a number of tests, the ability test in February 2025, the performance tasks in March 2025, curriculum-based tests in April. So they had exams in February, March, and April. Now, these are a special group of students, and we have to look at them with that in mind. COVID had a big impact on these children. These children would have been in grade 1 when COVID hit us. So they would have been in grade 1, in the middle of grade 1, when they had to go online. Now, grade 1 is a very, very important year, a very formative year. And we know that you cannot get everything in an online setting. We also know that many of our children, and we have to be honest with ourselves, did not have access to the devices that they needed right away. So there would have been children who would have been in this cohort spent some time outside of school. For 2 years, they were not doing face-to-face learning. Our teachers did the best they could to engage them. But the reality is they were at a disadvantage because of COVID. And then another thing too was the lack of peer interaction. And so some of the social skills you're supposed to develop, and they also had issues in terms of nutrition. And we know this. A lot of our children rely on coming to school for the nutrition support. That would not have been possible during COVID. And so these are a special group. And so when you look at the results, you're even happier because you know what these children have been through. You know the psychosocial challenges they've had to endure, and they've still risen to the occasion. In terms of the number of students who did PEP this year, 33,462 students across 964 institutions were registered. That's a big number. We should note, though, that usually we would talk about absenteeism where students miss the exams even though they are registered. Now, importantly, this year we saw a 25% decrease in the number of students that were absent from the sitting. And if you look at the numbers, you also see, in terms of the males and females, that there's slightly more boys this year doing the exam. I will continue because I know why everybody wants to know. So how did the children do? All right, so we're looking at mathematics. And this is very encouraging when you look at it. If we look at it when they were in grade 4, the 2023 tests, a quarter of them, 25.5% of our children were seen as being at the developing stage and beginning stage. Beginning means that they really barely understand the concepts. And then you have the developing stage where you see some knowledge, but not enough for you to deem them proficient. Then you have the proficient level, which is where we want most of our children to be. And then you have highly proficient. Those are for our special children who just go way above what would have been expected. So when these children, and the good thing with PEP, we can actually track them from grade 4 to grade 6. In grade 4, 25.5% of them were at the beginning stage, meaning they were very basic in maths. But if we look by grade 6 this year, only 3% of them were seen to be at the beginning level. That's a big, big deal. So going from 25.5% to only 3% at beginning. And then what we look at also when we are looking at the results, we look at the proficient level. In grade 4, only 27% of our students were at the proficient level in mathematics. But when they did PEP by grade 6 with all of the interventions, 56% of them were at the proficient level. And then 7% were at the highly proficient level. And so those are some encouraging numbers. Are they where we want to be? No. We have more work to do. But what it says is that the interventions, the work being done by the schools, is paying off. And we can see with a challenging cohort, we're seeing progress being made, which means that what we're doing is right. We just need to intensify it and do more of it. And I have to thank the teachers for this improvement in mathematics. The other big one, which everybody wants to know about, language arts. What's going on with our children in terms of language arts? Now, I have to note to Jamaica, PEP 6, the grade 6 test, is not a test of literacy. We do not test literacy. We test their command of the language arts curriculum. And I will speak to that at the end in terms of how we can get a literacy test. So when you see the results here, which again are very encouraging, know that it's not a literacy test. So in grade 4, we had serious challenges. 33.9% of our children were at the beginning stage in relation to language arts. That's a huge number of our children. And that's probably linked to the issues during COVID. And especially with developing your language skills, you want to do that face-to-face. And you need that face-to-face environment for that. But almost 34% of our children in grade 4, which was in 2023, were deemed to be at the beginning stage. And 27.4% were at the developing stage. So that's a huge amount of our children. That is 60% of them not proficient in language arts. That's a big problem. But we didn't stop there. Interventions happened. And then you can see that by the time they did the grade 5 test, the numbers increased. So you only had 34% that were proficient in grade 4. But by grade 5, 56.6% of our students were now proficient at the language arts level. And it didn't stop. Our teachers didn't stop. They continued working with the students. And by grade 6, 67% of our students were at the proficient level. And then we had 2% who were at the highly proficient level. So 69% of our students are at the proficient or highly proficient level in relation to language arts. So we are very pleased to see those improvements that you see there. And if you look at the overall performance, you can see it here. I know most people are interested in mathematics, but they do two other mathematics and language arts, but they do two other areas. So there's mathematics, and in mathematics, 63% of our students were seen as proficient or highly proficient. In science, 70% of our students were proficient or highly proficient. In social studies, 72% of our students were proficient or highly proficient. And in language arts, 69% of our students were proficient. We are on our way. These were not the results last year or the year before, which tells us that we're on the right track. So we are on our way, and our target in the ministry is to get to 85% proficiency level by 2030 with all of these areas. One of the things we looked at when we were looking at the data was that developing category, and the data showed that for a lot of our children, they're almost proficient. So those in the developing bucket, they are actually skewing towards proficient, but we don't put them in the proficient bucket unless they reach that standard. But they are closer to proficient than they would have been in the past. And so that's another encouraging figure for us to look at. You may want to know about social studies. Overall performance last year, it's basically flat for social studies. 71.8% last year were proficient or highly proficient, and this year it's 71.6%. So pretty flat there. There was also something to note in social studies. Again, fewer students were at the beginning level in social studies than compared to 2024, which is a good thing. You always want to look at who's at the bottom level. Are they improving? Are they getting better? And the numbers show that that's increasing. We also saw a 25% increase in highly proficient in this area, and especially in a few areas that we're evaluating, which is developing questions and planning inquiries, evaluating sources and using evidence. And you know, in today's world, that is very important because you have to be discerning. So you need to be able to see all these sources of information, know what's a good source to use, what's not a good source, to be able to synthesize all that information and use evidence you've gathered from the sources to respond. And we've seen improvement in that area with our children, and that's a higher order area. And with all of these results here, there's a lot more I could go into because we go into detail by strand. So we look at the different areas. Where are we having issues? So for example, in language arts, we realized that children were doing really well in most areas. The area that was bringing them down was in writing. And we understand that too. That's linked back to some of the deficiencies early in their language arts training. And so we're encouraging the schools to do more work in terms of writing because that was the area that they fell down. But we're able to see everything. We can see every area. We know which areas the children are struggling in. And so these are your overall statistics, but it's also important to see the details a little bit lower down. In terms of science, again, flat performance there, 69.8% in 2024, 69.97% at proficient and highly proficient in 2025. We're almost at that 70%. So I expect that we will continue there. And if any of you have looked at the science part of the PEP, it's really, really good. And for children to be doing this well now, it was very new. It was introduced. A lot of our schools would not have had a lot of experience with teaching science and the science curriculum at this level. And so they're doing really well there. And so they're able to practice. The practices area is an area where we're seeing increase in proficiency. And that is where we're looking at scientific skills, looking at how you carry out an investigation. I love reading those questions that they have where the children have to figure out, how do I investigate this particular area? And so it's flat there, but we're seeing increases in the proficiency area. Now, this is what the other parents want to know. Where are your children going? And I'm very happy to note that 89.5% of our children, almost 90% of our children, are going to one of the schools of their choice. That's a big number. So our children are given 7 schools to select, 5 of their main ones, and then 2 are those that are in proximity to where they live. And so the ministry gives them a proximity list, and they are able to select 2 schools. So there are 7 schools in total that our children are able to choose from. And our children, 90%, almost 90% of them have been able to be placed in a school of their choice. That was on the paper that their parents handed in. And so we're very happy about that. And that may mean, too, that our parents and our schools are helping the parents to choose better, and choose more wisely. But the thing that I'm most happy about today, and I hope that my media partners here, please play this up because it's a big deal. The top 10 students used to go to 3 schools. This year, the top 10 students are going to 6 different schools. And I have them there on the slide. The number 1 student in Jamaica, in PEP, will be going to Arden High School. The number 2 student is going to the Carteret College. Number 3, Immaculate Conception High. And this one, we should all celebrate too. Number 4, the number 4 ranked student is going to Herbert Morrison Technical High School. They would have chosen that as their number 1 option. And then number 5 would have been to Campion, and number 6, St. Andrew High School, and the rest of the top 10 had those schools in there. But this is a change. What you're seeing is beautiful. You are seeing that there are other schools now that are being seen as schools of choice for children. And what we want to do is to continue expanding that list. Also, we have to note that more primary schools have entered into the top 50 ranked schools for PEP performance. Our primary schools are doing better and better. And that is a great result to see. And so these, I hope, apart from the improvements in maths and in language arts, I'm hoping this will be an important talking point, because we want to encourage other schools to do the work, to improve their profile, improve the work they're doing with their students, so that more of our students will choose them and they'll become schools of choice. Another area that I wanted to highlight is in relation to the schools where we are doing interventions. And I've said it many times that we are intervening in our schools at the primary level and at the high school level that are underperforming. And when we looked at the data, we saw that there were, in 2024, 26 schools who were at the critical level in language arts and 40 that were at the critical level in mathematics. What does that mean? It means that over 75% of the children at that school were at the beginning or the developing level. So that's the majority of students in that school. So we identified those schools, and we've been doing interventions in those schools. So we're not just taking the PEP data and putting it down. The team at the ministry that's here in the room and the others that are working so hard, they are working with the schools. And I am so happy to say that 6 of the schools that were on the critical list for language arts and mathematics, they are now at 100% proficiency in language arts and mathematics. Now, if that's not cause to celebrate, I do not know what is cause to celebrate. And those 6 schools, we're going to have to do some special acknowledgement of them, because that is not easy to do. Not easy at all. And I can give you the names of the schools if you'd like, because I'd love that to be broadcast. For mathematics, it's Clydesdale Primary, Came Coran Primary, Quickstep Primary, Moores Primary and Infant, Springvale Primary and Infant, Ty Dixon Primary and Infant. And for language arts, it's the Barking Lodge Primary, Clydesdale Primary, Philadelphia Primary, Quickstep Primary, Moores Primary, Mount Airy Primary. All those schools need to be celebrated because they went all the way from critical to having 100% proficiency in language arts and mathematics. So there are 6 of them in language arts, 6 of them in mathematics that were able to do this. What it says is it's possible. So even if we see a school where children are underperforming, it does not mean that they have to always be underperforming, because those 6 schools have shown you that with the right interventions, that our children can thrive and do very well. And so I want to congratulate those schools today. The other thing I would note is there's a lot of data, as you can imagine, that we have. Can't go through everything. But we've developed a new publication in the ministry, and I want to thank the exams team and obviously the leadership, the permanent secretary and the CEO for their work in doing this. And I took this home for the weekend. They were doing it for last year, but we'll be doing it for this year. Each school will get a school results publication. It will go into detail in the performance of that school. It will compare the school with similar schools. It will also compare the school with the national results. And it will go through each subject strand by strand. This is how your students did in these types of questions. And it will also give you suggestions in terms of what your plan of action should be given the specific performance of your children. So we're not just keeping the data. Every school is going to get this publication. It's not a light publication. It's actually quite thick, because you're going through in terms of this is what you could do for your students. These are the kinds of activities you need to do more of. These are the intervention strategies you need. And we give you the general information. And so this will go to all schools. The principal will have it. The chairman of the board will have it, because this is a tool that can help our schools to be one of the 6 who is able to improve their ranking. And even for those who are doing well, it gives you a lot of rich information on your particular students. This is a big time game changer. And so every school starting this year will be getting that. And we started with the pilot with Ascot Primary, which I was able to go and read through. And we did it for last year so we could see what it looks like. And it's really an excellent publication. And each school needs to work with the ministry when they get that publication to actually put it into action. There was something that I'd mentioned before, which was that PEP was not a test of numeracy and literacy. It is not. What we are planning to do, the one we're working through the final details of it, is to add some questions to the mathematics and the language arts papers for grade 6 to test numeracy and literacy, so that next year we'll be able to give you data on this percentage are considered literate, because some of them in the developing category, it's not that they're not literate. And so we need to be able to tease that out and to be able to give Jamaica data that they can use. So we'll be adding that element to the exam next year for the grade 6 test. And so I will stop there. We've given you a lot of information. As we said, at 11 a.m. today, the schools will have access to the results. And at 1 p.m., parents can start accessing our portal to get the results for their children. If there are any issues, parents just know that the schools do have the results. So if you go online and there's any challenge, you can get it from the school or regional office. Our regional offices will also have the results available. So we're doing it as best as we can and have as many avenues for you to get the results as we can. And so I have to congratulate all the PEP students. You've done very well. You've worked hard. You've worked really hard. And we see it. We know you are starting at a disadvantage with COVID, spending grade 1 and grade 2 outside of the classroom. It would have been hard. But you did it. And we also had Berry last year. For some students, they were very much affected by it. And they've risen to the occasion and they have delivered good results. There are things we have to fix. We need to continue working with our schools on the numeracy areas and literacy and the other areas too. But the ministry is committed to working with every single school. And one of the great things today that we need to leave here with and celebrate are those schools that were on the critical list and they're no longer on the critical list. And they didn't just come off the critical list just, marginally. They made all 100% of their students proficient in those areas. Now, that is cause for celebration. I congratulate all the students. Don't worry about where you get placed. There are some wonderful schools across Jamaica, and we in the ministry are making sure that every school will eventually be a school of choice. Thank you, and we open up for questions. I hand over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so very much. I'm smiling. I'm excited. This is transformation in action. We say we're transforming the education sector. This is it. This is where you see the impact. Plus, I'm smiling additionally because I heard one of my schools that was critical. And they have moved to proficient, and I'm so excited. I'm about to call the principal to say good job, and that's the Quick Step Primary School. I hope you have your questions ready. I saw people writing. Just to remind you, we have press kits that are ready for you. We have QR codes across the room and outside. So with your smartphone, go ahead and scan. You'll have access to the information that Minister just shared. And so at this moment, we'll open the floor up. Cheryl is manning online. Let me know if there are questions coming from online. But for now, we'll take the questions in-house.
Hi, good morning. Okay, sorry. Good morning, Sashana Small from the Gleaner. Minister, can you tell us how does this year's math and language arts grades compare to last year in the proficiency and high proficiency rate?
Can we pull up back the slide, please?
In terms of the overall performance, not the performance going from grade 4 to 6, right? Overall performance. Grade 6. Yeah, for grade 6, yeah.
I can just note it. For mathematics, it was a 2% increase over last year, percentage points, I should say. And for language arts, it was 3 percentage points over last year. So if you look at language arts, we're 69% this year. And so last year would have been at 66% of students being proficient and highly proficient. And for maths, we improved by 2 percentage points.
Okay, thank you, Minister. Another question before you say? Last year we had 5 and 6% respectively for math and English in the high proficiency rate. And for this year, math is 7, while language arts is declined to 2%. I'm asking, is the ministry satisfied with these low percentage rates in the high proficiency area?
I think you're going to see the high proficiency changing, from year to year. Sometimes that will happen. Also, the writing skills of these children, we had a serious issue with the writing skills. And so that pulled down the results for this year. And we saw that. When we went through the analysis of the strands, that area was the area that would have pulled their grades down. So that means that as they go to first form, there are going to have to be interventions in the writing element, because that, for language arts, that was the key area for us. That's it. No, you must have some more questions. Oh, there's a question here.
Minister, good morning. Good morning, everyone. What will come of the NSLIP schools that got 100% in language arts and mathematics? Will they still be supported? And what do you think accounts for them getting the 100% while the other schools not?
All right, and other schools not. All right, let's start with those who did. I think we have to celebrate them, and we have to talk about them, because there are several schools, as you know, that we're intervening in the Ministry of Education. And you want to see progress. And you want to be able to say to the others, see, it can be done. It can be done. Our children are not lost. They are important, irrespective of which school they go to. They are very important. And so we have to do what we can to improve their performance. What it also says to me and to Jamaica is that even though they're at a critical level, sometimes we think they're at a critical level because there are a lot of learning challenges in that environment. And there may be some students with special needs. But what this shows is that with the right interventions, and the ministry has been intervening in these schools, when you go into many of these primary schools, and I've seen it, you are seeing specialist teachers. And that's making a difference. So you go into some schools and you see the class has 2 teachers. You have one teacher who is teaching science and who's teaching mathematics. And then you have another teacher who is teaching language arts and social studies. What it means is that you are able to get the specialized expertise teaching in their proficient area instead of one teacher teaching everything. And that is proving to be successful in the schools. We also have our literacy specialists and the literacy team in the ministry and the mathematics team in the ministry. They've been doing interventions with these schools, giving them added material, working with the teachers, working in the holidays. In some of the schools, we've actually had extended learning times for the children to work with them. In many of the schools, the literacy specialists will take out the children out of school, out of class, and have special sessions for them, as at one school in St. Thomas, where the room they used for the students who were having issues with literacy was the nicest room in the school. It had the most technology in there. And they were using technology because they said, you know what, these children sometimes feel bad about being taken out. But when you put them in the room that every student wants to be in with all the technology in there, they were excited to go in there. And so you see our schools innovating and thinking different. But the good news is it can happen. Every school that is deemed to be underperforming can perform. And that's what this says. And so the interventions have been good. We'll continue to work with those schools because you want them to move from proficient to highly proficient as best as possible. And you want the momentum to continue. So we'll continue to work with them. And those who weren't able to get those results, we'll continue to work with them. But what is clear is that across the board, given where these children were at grade 4, every school has done a lot of work to bring the children up. Some have done it, have been more successful than others, and we will use these schools as case studies to teach the other schools in terms of, some techniques that they could also use. That's it. Wonderful. Oh.
Minister, 2 more questions. Recently, I was looking through the Gleaner, and I saw about 15 different positions from one school, from 2 schools, from many schools. What will be done to address teacher migration this year, not considering using graduates, because we know graduates are good, but there's nothing like an old teacher working in a class they've been working for years?
Yeah. That's going to be a challenge, Teachers do look at other opportunities, as do other professionals across the system. And it is a challenge that we have. We did increase remuneration. Is it where it needs to be? No, and that's why I'm very much committed to seeing economic growth so we can pay the teachers a lot more, because as or tax intakes increase, then we have more money in order to pay our teachers. And that's going to be very important. We're also improving the conditions as best as we can. And a lot of teachers you can see too, you know, when you're in one of those schools that's called critical or underperforming, it doesn't help you and your psyche. But having the ministry doing what it's doing and working actively in the schools, and the schools seeing, you know what, my students can perform, I can get the support that I need, that is important. We're also looking at the retirees and asking them to not retire at the time they would. We're also looking at those who would take leave and requesting of them to stay on and not take leave. And so those are some of the strategies we are using in order to retain teachers. But that issue of teacher retention is a critical one, and we continue to speak with the JTA to see how we can continuously improve the conditions for our teachers. Yet another one.
Yes. I was at your Archbishop lecture in January. You said that the ministry would be pursuing feeding programs to help students, and it would show in the PEP results. But we understand that schools get around $200 daily for each school. But as we know, box lunch is $500, $600, $400. So how are schools expected to fund the deficit, and what will be done in the upcoming school year? Final question.
All right. So nutrition is big. Nutrition is a very important element of our strategy. And I think I've announced it before, that beginning in September, for all the schools you saw, what we call the NSLIP schools, which are the schools that are underperforming, every single one of those schools will now get breakfast in addition to the lunch allocation. That's a big deal. That's a lot of money too. It's a lot of money to make that happen. But what we're saying is, if we truly believe in these children, if we truly believe that those children in those schools that are underperforming deserve the same access to education as everybody else, we have to do this. And so beginning in September, they will get breakfast in addition to lunch. A lot of our schools have been able to stretch the money a lot. And some of them use additional resources from the canteen and other fundraising elements, or other drives that they have to supplement the funding, and we appreciate that, because I see our principals and our teachers going the extra mile to try to make sure that as many of the students get the nutrition support as they can. In addition to that, there are sometimes children who are not on the path list for nutrition support, and the schools recognize that there are issues there, and the ministry has given the school the permission to use some of the funds from the ministry to help in supporting those students. So we're doing a lot there. Another thing that you didn't mention, though, that will be coming in September, which is another impediment for many of our students, is high transportation costs, especially in rural areas. And so we're advancing the rural school bus system. We're supposed to get the buses in time for September. We're keeping our fingers crossed that they will come. 100 of those buses will be deployed to start helping in our rural areas. And we know, and we don't have to sugarcoat things, and I don't like to sugarcoat things. In many of our rural areas and other areas too, you have children don't come on a Friday. And some of them don't come on Thursday and Friday because the money has run out. And so what we're doing in putting this rural school bus system in place, plus doing more of the nutrition support, is eliminating some of the impediments to attending school. Because some of these children may not be performing at the level, especially in the developing category, because they're missing school. They're missing school too many days in a month. And so when we do these initiatives, they're aimed at limiting those absences. And so we're very excited about that, and we're really looking forward to those and looking at how it impacts going forward. Okay. Yes. Come to the mic.
Thank you, Minister. So I just want to add some additional details concerning the cost. So when you do the costing for a meal, a proprietor would have to consider overheads, light, water, rental, staff, and just want to support what our minister says. In addition to the funding we send for schools for nutritional support, the ministry provides for the overhead costs. So the schools are not contending with that to make a price point for the meal per student. We pay the cooks, we pay the assistants, right? We pay the light, we pay the water. There are resources already in place built out for that, right? We do the maintenance of the canteen and the schools. Every year we send out $70 million just for canteen, not just the other infrastructure, just for canteen repairs and to, update the stock or the equipment within the canteen to do the meshing, the fridge, all the things that they need. So there are resources in place to complement what we send out for the nutritional support. And so the schools are not contending with that. So what we need to do is to prepare the meal in bulk, having the resources in place. And we believe, Minister, yes, I know the funds move up from time to time and there's inflation, that we can look at it, but what we have provided in totality should be able to suffice. And we just want our principals to bear that in mind when they're having the conversations about the money and if it is sufficient to do the price point for the meal. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And we have one final question, Minister, and it's to find out how our students with the special needs were aided while they did the PEP 6 exams.
There were 534 students who received special accommodations for PEP. What that means is some of these children may have needed a reader for them. Some of them may have needed someone who was just going to be kind of a timer to help them through the exam. You also had shadows that were with some of the children there. We had children who we made accommodations for who were blind and needed accommodations, and even some who needed some language support because their native language would not have been English. So some children from overseas who would have been in our system who wanted to do the exam. And so that's a big number, 534. We also accommodated some parents who wanted their children to do their exam in hospital. The children got ill, and we were able to accommodate in hospital in some situations. Obviously, the student needed to be able to do the exam, not in any kind of critical state. And the parents would have been the ones that would have requested that, and a few who had to do it from home. But those accommodations were done for 534 children. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for your questions. Thank you so very much for being here. We feel good because we are trending upwards. We feel good because we see the initiatives having impact. And at the end of the day, that is our core duty here within the ministry, not to have some fancy name for some fancy initiatives, but to ensure that at the end of the day, our students are doing better, they're doing well, and they are thriving. And today's results show that our work is bearing fruit. So, cheer on the ministry. Sometimes because we do the work all the time and it's challenging, and people are looking from the side. Sometimes we focus on what doesn't seem to be working, but that's how life is. You have to see the things that don't seem to be working to fix them and move on, and that is what we're doing. So I believe that the ministry is doing a good job, and we support that, we celebrate that, and we celebrate our students today. We celebrate the parents, we celebrate the teachers, the principals, sometimes even the taxi drivers, the board members, because when our students are doing exams, it's all hands on deck. Yes, so we support them, we congratulate them, and we know that you're excited because persons are already messaging, I can't get online, it's not time yet. But when you do get online, and if you're having an issue, do remember that you can reach out to the regional offices, and you can also go to the school so that you can get those results. On that note, thank you so very much for being here. Have for yourselves a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. We have our journalists here, and you have access to the wonderful members from the ministry who put together the exam, or minister, or PS, or CEO. Let us get our interviews out. This is good news. Let us not miss the opportunity to share good news that has to do with our children doing well. Okay, so thank you so very much for that. And I'm hoping to step to the side to help you to navigate some of these interviews. Thank you very much. And for those online, have a great day.
There you have it. You just had a live coverage of the PEP results there at the Ministry of Education. But my take on all of this morning is, how is it that they're all talking about what the Ministry of Education has done and no one is talking about our teachers? Well, let's hope that everything go fine with all our students who passed this PEP exam. And we're going to see if we can get commentary from the opposition spokesperson on education, Mr. Damian Crawford. I want to reach out to him and see if I can get him on to come on this evening and talk to us about this, because we need some, some intake from it from the opposition. So there you have it, a live press conference in the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education herself was there giving the update, and wish all our students well. What I really want to say about that minister, I better I don't say it. Better I don't say it. Does you don't have anything good to say, Jeffrey, shut your mouth. I have nothing good to say. But what I want to know, I pray and hope that all the hard-working teachers who make this possible, that they will be rewarded for all the hard work that they're doing. Because without a teacher, there is no politician. Without a teacher, there is no governor general. Without a teacher, there is no pastor. Without a teacher, there is no policemen, no soldiers. Without a teacher, there is none of us. And for far too long, we have neglected our teachers and don't respect our teachers or recognize our teachers. And I pray and hope that they start recognizing the teachers of our country and the teachers of the world. But I speak in particular the teachers of Jamaica. I want to say good morning to all the teachers of Jamaica. Good morning to all the teachers from Negril Point to Moran Point. Good morning to teachers who taught me at high school, well, from primary school, high school, and teachers who teach me at university also. I want to say thank you all very much for the hard work that you continue to do. Yes, they do. They deserve an Oscar. The team from the MOE. After this press conference. Wow. You know that there's a lot of things going on around the world, a lot of things going on around the world. You have but before I go there, let me remind you that the One Legal Jamaica Defense Foundation will be having its inaugural Reconnection Rally this Saturday. That's tomorrow, this Saturday, June 21st, 2025 at 10 a.m. at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. That's the One Legal Jamaica Defense Foundation will be having its inaugural Reconnection Rally on the grounds of Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. And on June 21st, that's tomorrow, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You're going to have surprise persons will be there. We're giving speeches. Hopefully I can attend. I'm not sure, but hopefully I can. But you're going to have a lot of people coming on down. People from the United States, people from Canada, all over the place will be coming down. So we're encouraging Jamaicans from all walks of life tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go on down to the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center for the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation inaugural Reconnection Rally. Go on down, you're going to hear speakers after speakers, but the main thing we're going to have is entertaining our children. Entertaining our children. We're going to teach adults about how to sign the Magnitsky Act. We're going to teach adults about how to what the Magnitsky Act stands for. and how it can help us as Jamaicans navigate and put politicians who has dipped their hands in the public kitty. We're going to speak about that too. So go on down tomorrow at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation will be having its inaugural Reconnection Rally at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and admission is free. Admission is free. So tomorrow is a weekend. Bring your children down. Like when they pass the PEP exams, bring them down, and let them enjoy themselves for the day put on by the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. Of course, it's headed by my good friend, the fearless leader, Wilfred Rattigan. He is the one who is putting on this. So go on down at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. My tongue tied up. The Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. Tomorrow, Saturday, June 21st, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The One Legal Jamaica Defense Foundation will be having its inaugural rally. So go on down there and enjoy yourself, and make sure that you bring your children down there. There'll be bounce about, there'll be refreshment, and this is sponsored by the One Legal Jamaica Defense Foundation. Let me play this.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural Reconnection Rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
There you have it. Go on down, enjoy yourself, bring your children down. There will be giveaways, there will be surprises, there will be giveaways. That's the One Legal Jamaica Defense Foundation inaugural rally right there at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. Let me play this over again and everybody can listen and hear it properly.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural Reconnection Rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
So there you have it. We're asking everyone. It's like when the PEP exams comes out today to tomorrow. Bring your children down there tomorrow at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. It is free to the public. Free. Without charging anyone for anything. It is free. So go on down to the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center, where the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation is putting on its inaugural rally on the grounds of the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. We'll be having bounce about, popcorn, we're having food, refreshments, everything will be there. Everything will be there. We're having speakers speaking to you about the Magnificent Act, speaking to you about your constitutional rights. So go on down and enjoy yourself. Go on down and enjoy yourself, because we're giving back. We up here, we're giving back. You know, I know we have to dig deep in our own pockets here to make sure that this thing can go on. So go on down there and enjoy yourself at the reconnection rally in Kingston, Jamaica.
Bowles money was
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans yard and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural reconnection rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
Yep. All the teachers who work hard with this PEP exam, bring your students over to the reconnection rally tomorrow. Bring them down. I wish I had a schedule to know where the buses are coming from, but I know there will be buses coming into Kingston from other parts of Jamaica and in and around Kingston and St. Andrew. So those who live in around Kingston and St. Andrew, bring over the students who passed the exam. If they didn't pass, bring over the kids. They'll enjoy themselves. There'll be bunks about. There'll be everything. There'll be giveaways, phone top-up given away. There'll be a lot of things given. I think there'll be laptops given away too. My memory serves me correct. I think there'll be laptops given away. And other things will be given away down there. Refreshments will be down there. It's for free. Put on by the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, headed by our good friend and fearless leader himself, Wilfred Radigan, the man who hosts the Reason Radigan program on Saturdays. He'll be there, so go on down and enjoy yourself. As a reconnection rally of the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation this Saturday, June 21st, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the grounds of the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center right there in Kingston, Jamaica. So there you have it. Go on down and enjoy yourself. Bring all your family out. Bring all the kids out, all right? Have a great afternoon, everyone.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans yard and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural reconnection rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
See for yourself.
We are good.
come under some pressure. You're going to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades. And we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural Reconnection Rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
Daryl Vaz, Jamaica will not sit with you and Christopherson and Floyd Green and Pernell Charles Jr. and Fayeval and Dana Morris and Matthew Samuda. Who going to stick with the evil? Who going to stick with them thief ya? Who going to stick with the thief them Jamaica? Who going to stick with them scammer ya? And as a matter of fact, Daryl, what do you mean by people bad mind? Daryl, what do you mean by people bad mind? Bad mind you for what? You have no good antecedents for people to bad mind you on. Your history is not one where anyone would have wanted to badmine you, Daryl. I'm asking you again, what is there to badmine when our hospitals are like chicken coops? What is there to badmine when our water is filled with E. coli and shit and dirty water? People can't drink healthy water again. What is there to badmine when the road them full of pothole? What can go so? What is there to badmine? We can't badmine you know. Jamaica needs to be rescued. Jamaica needs to be rescued, Daryl. From you, Wellness Clan, Vaz Clan, Charles Clan, all of them sort of clan there. And when you're done, you think Jamaica want to stick with a politician, where one ex-politician, what's money? $20 million, another company, media can say, all the people then. Hi to God! We need a divine intervention! We're tired of the labor rights! So when I see you come, Daryl, we're tired of the murderer over the Labour Party. We're tired of the rapists them and
please, Mr. Knight, please.
I'm suggesting that you are pathologically mendacious.
Mr. Knight, that is an improper suggestion.
Why?
And an improper.
After
yes.
he just said what he just said?
Yes.
It's pathological.
Mr. Knight, please continue your cross-examination if you so intend to.
He was referring to what you said, a ruling you made.
And he laughed at you.
And laughed. You have a pathological condition when it comes to telling the truth. And I'm suggesting to you that you have misled, you have conspired, and you have deceived the parliament, the people of this country, and the inquiry, this commission, the diaspora and every Jamaican, and that you, Prime Minister, should pack your bags and go.
Mr. Chairman, All right, Mr. Small. But Mr. Chairman, you need to put your foot down.
The Prime Minister just needs to fly the gate. Call it Andrew, call it, and Iman will sound the trumpet.
Whether you're Labour right, PNP, regular Jamaican who just want to vote for a change, you see the next election here will come up under no circumstances whatsoever can you vote in back the Jamaica Labour Party into government.
cockroach. Whoa, yo, yo, yo. We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out from Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody, man or woman.
you're going to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades, and we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural Reconnection Rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk.